When the red light is on, that is when you can start talking.
Oh, I can talk whenever the fuck I want.
Yeah, but they are not going to get the content
Podcast
if you give all
episode 44, 39 degrees in Camden, 6:04 p.m., February 19th.
God, I wish it would drop 5 degrees.
Why?
So we can get some snow.
The fuck what's that going to do?
It's just be fun. The snow's funner than the rain. The rain is just rain.
The good news is...
It's going to do it all week.
No, the good news is when it drops 5 degrees and the ground freezes up,
yeah,
we can go outside and do outside shit. We can do outside work. There's a fucking hole. Have you met the hole at the end of the driveway in the direction you go?
Have you seen
it fucking literally swallows my truck.
Have you seen the gravel pit? Or have you seen the gravel pile that Deepak has?
That's what Amanda said this morning. She's like, you got to take somebody over there and scratch up get all that gravel and put it back in the fucking hole where it came from.
I was going to do that because that's what we did last time.
Yeah.
But I have not done that because Deepak is missing.
What do you mean he's missing?
Hasn't been there in 3 days.
Who's there?
They got some young kid in there. His brother has been in there every morning with some young kid that has been working in there. So I don't know if Deepak got a vacation or...
Fuck no, he didn't. What's that, dude? How's that keep us from going and getting our gravel?
Well, because, I have a better rapport with Deepak. I don't want to show up, because this new kid is probably running the show in the mornings now. I don't just want to go down there and start taking gravel, or taking that shit off his thing, and he's like, hey.
He ain't gonna say shit. They are in business simply because we allow them to remain in business.
Oh, shit.
We control shit over there.
Only because you mow their lawn.
We mow their lawn. Anytime there's something that needs doing, we fucking do that for them. Anytime there's a problem, we fucking fix the problem. We clean up. Anytime some asshole goes over there and fucking throws gravel all over the place, I took a whole crew of dudes over there.
I'm wondering if they swept. I wonder who piled it up.
Piled up what?
The gravel.
Oh, I haven't even seen that.
Yeah, it's not like it's.
I think the extreme amount of weather did it.
No, it's like somebody shoveled it into a pile.
Huh. Maybe they're waiting for us to come get
it. Maybe, yeah.
Skully, in your opinion, do revolvers still have a place? And John, what is your go-to amino flavor right now? Love the podcast. Listen to them to and from work from y'all.
Come on, man. Anything that goes bang still has a place. If you got a fucking flintlock rifle in your closet, it's not the most efficient way to do it, but more people in the United States have been killed by round ball out of a musket than they have been out of metallic cartridges.
Is that true?
It's 100% true.
Civil War?
Yeah, because of Civil War. Revolver has a total place. It has a total place in your arsenal if you want. The best thing about a revolver is the best thing out of a revolver is it doesn't have the hiccups that an automatic has, in the sense of you load that thing, put it in your dresser drawer, you go back to it 100 years from now, when you pull that fucking revolver out and you pull the trigger, it's gonna go bang. There's all kinds of crazy shit
More people killed or more people shot?
I'm assuming it's both.
Because a lot of those deaths were just from lack of
what?
Fucking antibiotics.
Well,
and just sheer fucking...
I'm sure that it's more people shot, maybe.
Sheer death from shock from sawing limbs and shit off.
Well,
gotcha.
Most people didn't survive.
Amino flavor. I was drinking the sweet tea today. I really like the watermelon. Fucking, I drink literally whatever's closest to me. I drink it all the time.
Yeah, every drink he has is aminos.
Bored soldiers are soldiers waiting to get in trouble. I have no problem having federalized troop work on the wall or place that need attention like Flint, Michigan. Better than having some sailor paint the USS Paint Me daily. One thing the Romans has right is their army in general.
Yeah, that's one of the things that people don't that may not understand throughout history is when you look at all the great works of the Roman times, of when that we look at now, like the aqueducts that are still there and all that. That was done by the Roman army. When the Roman army wasn't out conquering, they were building. Even when they were conquering, they were building. Usually, if you look at some of the great battles that the Romans did, it was all about the fortifications that they built to surround and enclose other people. The Roman military was very good at moving into an area and immediately setting up a type of fortification that they could fight from. And most of your great, I don't want to say, most of your great, what's it called? Constructional, your use things in Rome were made by Roman soldiers, as in all the roads, all the fucking aqueducts, your sewage, all the sewage. So that is a great thing. In the United States, because we are fucking dumb,
comfortable, lazy,
mostly dumb. Well, I don't want to say dumb because it's a byproduct of capitalism. Really, is you have units in the U.S. Army, for the most part, and the Navy that have specific tasks of construction. That their job is to construct, as in build roads, do infrastructure, build bridges, do all that. The Army has people that train to do that. Yet they are not allowed to build a road on a military base, just like they're not allowed to build a road off a military base. Anytime they have a construction training thing where, like, let's say the Army tomorrow was like, you know what, we need to fucking be prepared to build a road. And they build a road. They'll do a mile stretch of road, and then they have to tear it up. It cannot be used because it's an unfair contracting practice. Meaning, if you want a road built on a military base, you have to have an outside contractor to come in and build that military base, which is stupid. I mean, if we're willing to call the National Guard to quell riots in Los Angeles, we should also be willing to call the National Guard to go into Flint, Michigan and fix the fucking water infrastructure. It's basically what the Corps of Engineers do anyways. The Corps of Engineers should literally go into Flint, Michigan. They should fire every person that is on the board, the city board, the mayor, all those people should get fired. They should put one person in charge of the city until that fucking water gets fixed. And then they can vote to re-elect everybody. The reason why Flint, Michigan has a water problem is because the corruption at the local level. That is why they have a water problem. Because of the corruption at the local level. And I don't, mean to point fingers, but those people are all Democrats. So, yeah, the National Guard should go in there. Corps of Engineers should be allowed to do anything they want. But once again, you start falling into that unfair practice because if you're a concrete company, and I can call in the fucking National Guard to make roads, you no longer have a concrete company. So it's a slippery slope, but I really do think that anytime the President of the United States wants to declare a national emergency somewhere, the National Guard should be able to do whatever they want. It's kind of why you have a problem.
They're going to do it a lot faster, that's for sure.
You have a problem with anytime we respond anywhere, Hurricane Katrina or Puerto Rico, anytime we respond somewhere, if it's declared a national emergency, the U.S. military should be the priority, and the U.S. military should be handling all of it. I get that people want to do good things, but when you put 50 NGOs into a place that needs drinking water, the only people that will be drinking fresh water are all them idiots that work for the NGOs. Everybody around them are going to be drinking water from the fucking river that has cholera in it because no one can make a decision to get it fucking fixed. That's what's going on in Puerto Rico. When I was in Somalia, there was no shit. When you stood at the embassy and you looked at the UN compound, there was 150 flags from different countries of NGOs that were there to feed people, and they weren't feeding anyone. They weren't doing fucking dick. The only people in Somalia that was really doing anything, the Germans, the Norwegians, us, of course. And that's it. Everybody else was there just getting a paycheck. The Legion kind of did some stuff, but man, they put the Legion so far out in the desert, I don't even know what those guys were doing, because everybody was afraid of the Legionnaires. I will say that. The Legionnaires had a good presence in Mogadishu, but all those, feed the children, hunger, they weren't doing shit. I mean, initially the UN had the mandate, had the Marine Corps take all the weapons from everybody in Mogadishu. Well, the only people you're going to get weapons from are people that you can take weapons from. So all the mom and pops lost all their weapons. And then they started feeding people. And guess what? Everybody was still starving. Why? Because the warlords would show up with their guns and they would take those sacks and be like, thank you very much. Too bad, so sad. And then what will we do? Then the fucking UN got this brilliant idea that they would issue everybody an AK-47 so they could protect their rice sack.
And what happened?
The bad guys with guns showed up and took the AK-47s away. So all we did was gave Muammar more AK-47s. That's it. That's all we did. The UN is a fucking the biggest waste of money that we've ever endeavored. They should immediately shut that down and sell that property in New York City, because I'm sure it's worth a lot of money. The UN's a waste of time.
Give it to Trump.
Yeah, Trump could Trump could just turn it into a tower.
You said Muammar.
Well, they're all Muslims in
Gotcha.
So,
here's Daniel Marshall. I work as a machine operator at a flat pack furniture manufacturer. I am unwilling to name the employer as they have specific requirements. No worries, dude. We don't need a name. Not at all. In my contract, regardless of social media, anyway, I work nights, Monday through Thursday, 1800 to 6 a.m., 12-hour shifts with one 45-minute break. Good job and a pleasant, safe environment. Interesting enough, my first job out of school was in a sewing trade and apprentice sewing machine mechanic. Right on, man.
come here and fix some sewing machines.
That would be like IKEA or something, flat pack furniture. I pretty much get home after work and put on your podcast whilst having my breakfast. Then bed and up again and back off to work. Tuesday through Thursday. Weekends, my wife and I do the admin, shopping, getting here, out, and there. More details to follow, and the package on Nearly Complete is on Nearly Complete, though no antiquities yet. That's also Daniel Marshall. Here's another Daniel Marshall. What should be is Nearly Complete.
That's what he does. He works fucking 18 hours a day, and then on Friday gets depressed because everybody's going to leave and he's going to be here 18 hours more a day, which makes him happy anyway. So the depression only lasts for a second. It's just when everybody says goodbye.
Depression.
And just when everybody says goodbye, then he gets all, teary-eyed and stuff when all the employees leave. But that's all he does. And then this is what he does. This is exactly what John Willis does. He'll go, you know what? I'm going to go do something. I'm going to go do something. I'm going to go see something. I'm going to go, and he'll plan this thing out and go do something. He will go do something. But I know in my heart the entire time he is out there driving around, looking at cool shit and playing with cool shit. He's like, if I go back right now, I could sew those 2 pouches. And that would be great because those 2 pouches would be done. He's always working. He's never.
So we left here last Friday. We left. Because she's like, I don't want to drive all night to Louisville. I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? She's like, maybe we could leave earlier in the day.
What's the time? How long does it take to get to Louisville?
5 hours, 4.5 hours.
Going to Vegas?
So it's like driving to Nashville, Nashville's 2 hours, and then 2 more hours is Knoxville, or 2 more hours is Louisville. So in my head, I hear, okay, we will leave after lunch. That will put us out of here. We will miss Nashville traffic, and we will skate on through, and we won't be driving at night. So I'm like, all right, I tell the people that need to know that we are leaving after lunch. Well, we left after lunch, 4.5 hours after lunch. We didn't leave fucking early at all. So it's dark. We're in fucking... She's like, I've never seen traffic like this in Nashville. I go, because it's fucking... Motherfuckers are getting off work. You said you wanted to skip traffic. Here we are in the worst fucking traffic we've ever been.
The funny part about that is I heard you tell her. I heard you go, hey, all my stuff's done. Let's go. We're leaving. And she's like, what? We're leaving early? What?
Yeah, I didn't know. In front of everybody, she pretended like it wasn't her idea.
I didn't know anything about it.
So Amanda drives, and I'm on Facebook or Instagram or doing emails or just interacting, and I'm working the whole time. Like I'm taking notes, or I'm seeing other thing that gives me an idea, and I just make notes. I have a notepad open on my computer and my phone all through the day. So when something comes to mind, because 5 minutes later, like I won't fucking ever remember it. I'll have some great fucking idea for a patch or a shirt or a pouch or something. So I'm constantly doing that and just researching more shit constantly. So yeah, I work a little bit while we're driving.
He's lying. He's always working.
Great videos as always. Are there any new shirts coming? Yes, there's some new shirts coming, Jim Donahue. Eric Scow, I'll preface this by saying I have no military background. Skully, if the U.S. government ever got to the point of turning on its citizens, do you feel the military would follow those orders?
You're always going to have a group of individuals that are going to convince themselves. You're always going to have a group of individuals that are going to convince themselves that it's for the better good. So, when you had...
You're also going to have a group of individuals that'll just go along with it because they think they're going to win, and they don't want to be on the side that lost.
But you just have a group of individuals that believe that it's for the better good. It's kind of like it's no different than the Nazis. So when you talk about, like, people always talk about SS. They talk about the SS, the death squads. There were really very few SS guys that were part of the camps. They actually had a standing order that if you didn't want anything to do with the camps, they would transfer you to a line unit, so you could go fight the Russians or sit in France.
And some of you guys might not realize Hitler did not meet the requirements to be an SS officer. He wasn't tall enough. He didn't meet his own requirements. He wasn't blue-eyed. Himmler actually wrote that. It wasn't actually Hitler didn't write the requirements. The SS was his boys.
But program. the SS had 50. And I want you to, if just go ahead and do some math. The SS had 57 divisions. They had 57 divisions of troops. That's a lot of people. Did all those guys wearing that SS? Did they all want to kill Jews? No. It actually, there's some pretty good. If you get out of the Germans are bad, Americans are good. If you get out of that and you actually look at some of the studies that the Germans did about that, they actually had a really hard time you would basically have Gestapo units. So they're elite military police units that would go in and they would find undesirables, whether that was Russians, Jews,
racial hygiene.
Yeah, whether it was Russians, Jews, Gypsies, or whatever, they would find the undesirables. And initially, they started. The big thing was shooting them. So they would pit them up and they would shoot them. They had a serious high turnover of individuals in those units because of the mental breakdowns that they were having for just killing these people in pits. So
it cost too much.
Well, it was just basically they were having a hard time getting people to do it. So if you look at any of the camps, that were outside of Germany, they didn't have Germans really doing the work there. So the local populace would guard it. So if you're in Czechoslovakia, there would be Czechs that would be guarding the place, and they would. Unfortunately, there was always somebody willing to collaborate, as in Jews, to collaborate to move and put people into the gas chambers. Always somebody. So that's no different with the government. There's always going to be a group of people that would be willing to sacrifice other people in order to stay alive. They're going to be willing to do it. So you'd have core groups.
Some of them are amongst yourselves.
Yeah, you'd have core groups of people that would have no problem driving a tank down fucking, Main Street Camden and just fucking shooting Sabo rounds through the fucking windows and shit. There are people in the army right now that would have no problem with it. But most of them are not real meat eaters. And there's a lot of real meat eaters out here in the real world that will have no problem defending themselves against tyranny. So I don't think it would. Here's the thing. If civil war broke out tomorrow, I don't think this is the thing where the government gets a handle on it in a couple weeks. Because that's going to be neighbor to neighbor, house to house, state to state. It's going to be fucking ridiculous. Like, you can't even... If it breaks off, getting a handle on it is going to be the biggest problem. I mean, the reality is, what are you going to do? You're going to mobilize your forces. The truth be told, the government is going to mobilize forces to protect the government institutions. So you're going to have fucking tanks in Washington, D.C. You're going to have tanks at Dianne Feinstein's house. That's the first thing they're going to want to do, is protect their own institutions so none of this bleeds over into
Once people
creating
get
problem for them.
Once they get a taste for that, it's that shot heard around the world. It's that first shot. Once that starts happening, other people. That's really the only thing holding people back is somebody hasn't taken that first fucking step. Once that first one goes, you're gonna have fucking 100, and then you're gonna have 1,000 within fucking the next day.
Yeah, it just depends on how they handle it. I mean, right now you take a look at what's going on in Oregon and Washington with Antifa and the Patriot groups, right? Initially, it was counter-protests. Everybody's yelling at each other. They're yelling at each other. Then they started bringing fireworks and shooting fireworks into each other's crowds. Getting a little dangerous. Now there's actually contact, right? These guys are actually fighting each other in the streets. It's just fisticuffs. Well, Antifa has decided, hey, let's start bringing guns to this thing. It only takes one fucking person to make a bad decision and that turn into a fucking massacre. Whether that's a bunch of, civilians or it's the two groups are massacring each other. Depending on how the police handle that, man, that could fucking turn into a wildfire that spreads all across the United States. Because you're at a point where people have to make a decision. You have to. I mean, look at abortion. Like, abortion is the two extremes. Either no abortion at all, or we can pull a baby out of a mom at 9 months and kill that baby. That's what's going on right now. The two extremes. There's nobody in the middle talking about this shit. So it's only going to take a couple of things before things get out of hand. And the fear for me is, I feel like on the conservative side of the house, there's more military. There's more of a military American mindset. On the left side of the house, in the extreme, there's not a military or American mindset. They actually advocate for the overthrowing of the government through violence and force. They're actually saying that stuff.
And nobody's kicking their door in.
Nobody's kicking their door in. No federal agents are interviewing their parents. But they're actually advocating that stuff. They're advocating for socialism. Okay?
And Facebook's not pulling those posts down either.
And because for the most part, these guys are not people who have served in the military, they don't really understand how bad things can get and how quick.
They also don't understand organization or structure or control.
When they start throwing these punches and they get hit in the face, it's gonna be bad, especially if everybody has guns. So I don't know the solution on how we can fucking normalize this. I mean, the first thing that needs to happen is the news outlets need to be fucking gutted. They need to be gutted because they don't give you any news. You can thank Obama because he actually signed the propaganda law into effect. So news organizations are no longer required to give you truth. They can just give you propaganda. So I don't know. You're going to have a lot of guys in the military. I mean, the reality is you're going to have a lot of guys in the military. They're going to be like, oh, you guys need M16s? Here we go. We got all these M16s over in this National Guard armory. Fuck those motherfuckers in Washington. You're going to have a lot of guys like that. You're going to have a lot of meat eaters and a lot of military units. I would say whole military units that are going to be like, yeah, no, we're not even going to get involved in this. You guys can handle this yourself.
Wonder what units those will be.
Because you can fucking it can get so fucking out of hand so quick. Because once again, it's not going to be the South against the North. It's going to be neighbors against neighbors. You're going to have places in the United States where they're going to go through and systematically just murder people because of their political affiliations.
Plus, you're gonna have a lot of crime interspersed there. You're gonna have people that
yeah.
just killing neighbors that just simply don't like neighbors. You're gonna have business competitors killing business competitors because the opportunity is there. It's gonna be like a purge type deal mixed in with that shit.
So I don't know. I really don't know what the government would be able to do. I mean, even calling up the National Guard, blah blah. If it kicks off everywhere in the United States, we don't have enough troops. Only 1% of the population has or is in uniform. 1%. You just think about that. Only 1% has been or is currently in uniform of the United States. That's not enough guys. You're not, when you have to put, it's one thing for them to send a battalion of Marines up to Los Angeles to stand on street corners. You don't have enough Marines, you don't have enough sailors. There's not enough Army personnel to put one on every fucking street corner in the United States. So, I mean, it's a terrible thought, and anybody who's talking about revolution, overthrowing the government or whatever, you're delusional, because that is a world that will change everything.
You don't want that to open up.
Yeah, that's a world that will change everything. The minute
your power runs right now because of just normalcy. As soon as that normalcy's gone and those people stop showing up to work, you're not going to have fucking electricity.
Here's the thing that a lot of people don't think about either, is the minute we destabilize in the United States, the minute there's any question of being unstable in the United States,
three fronts, three.
The rest of the world will fucking drop into chaos. Chaos like the world has never seen. Everybody is going to be grabbing everything they fucking can grab if the United States drops into another civil war.
And that's if one of them doesn't try to push into the United States. And then while your systems are down, while your controls and everything's in chaos, what happens when you have a fucking pandemic kick off? Because that's when it'll happen. Or a natural disaster. It's always three. It's never just one thing. It's never two. It's that third one that will change the fucking map of the world. It's while we're fighting amongst ourselves and somebody tries to push into the United States, or we're fighting amongst ourselves and you have a major earthquake that fucking sets one of these fucking reactors off, or we have a natural disaster and a new flu and a pandemic. That's when the world changes, and it always happens in those manners.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. I don't think anybody should be rallying that flag, and I really do believe that the FBI, which, the FBI has already been...
That's their job.
They're shown to have a bias. The FBI should be rolling those Antifa guys up.
And if they are, they're not fucking showing it like they are the other side.
And I will bet you $100 right now, if the Democrats win, all those groups will get shut down. They will not allow those groups to hit the streets any fucking more. They will shut them down.
They're allowing it now.
Yeah, well, they're allowing it now because they're not in power, right?
Yeah,
because
they're
agitators. They're agitating the right. Anyways, that's too much time on that.
And back to the Hitler thing in the camps. As bad as that shit was, and not you see people say that didn't happen. Of course it fucking happened. But look at the Russian numbers.
Jesus.
Like everything we're taught in school, you never heard shit about the fucking deaths from fucking the Chinese did, or the Japanese did, or the death camps of the fucking Russians. All you hear is about the Nazis. That's because your elite, all your money people, are Jews, and they fucking write those history books. That's your indoctrination. Yes, of course that shit happened. But
yeah, but they
that ain't even. That's not even
fucking.
That is not 5% of the fucking numbers that the Russians
they killed
did.
a bunch of people. Like the one thing that I can't as a military person, I can't even grasp this. I can't even grasp this from a military perspective. On the Eastern Front, the Germans would surround an army corps. That's a whole fucking army. They would surround an army corps. They would surround them. And then just kill them all. That is a fucking slaughter like you can't even fucking imagine. It just a whole army corps. That would be the entire Marine Corps surrounded and wiped out. How do you? I don't even know how the Russians recovered from that. I mean, if you want to read some stuff about some serious fucking fighting, just anything on the Eastern Front. Anything on the Eastern Front, whether that was when the Germans were winning or when it was when the fucking Russians were winning, it was a fucking bloodbath over there. The biggest tank battle in history happened between the Russians and Germans, and I want to say 3,400 tanks were wiped out in 2 days. That's just fucking unbelievable. Anyways, enough on the Germans and the Russians.
We just hear about it because they've made them museums. They were really
Yeah.
good about preserving that shit. They didn't preserve any of the other. There's nobody telling those other stories. Was Cody a member of VICA in high school? I was, and went across the state to compete against other
think he
schools.
was.
You talk. Yes, he was.
Yeah, I think he was. He won
went
a
to
medal.
Knoxville every year. He won fucking medals every year.
Yeah.
When are you going to start laser cutting your products? I don't think that we are. Even if we laser cut our products right now, what do we get for it other than the cost of doing it and some of the problems that come with it? We laser cut our shit, and then what? We can't produce any more than we're fucking producing anymore. Cutting has never been our bottleneck. Sewing, it's always been our problems. I know all you guys jump on this shit. Wait till you guys actually start. You guys are liking this laser cut shit right now because you can run single layer material, right? You're loving that shit because it's lighter. Wait till that shit starts fucking coming apart, because it's going to come apart. You watch. There's a lot of dudes making all this cool shit. You know why everybody's laser cutting all that shit right now? Because they don't have the labor and they don't have the skill to edge tape that and make the compound folds and shit. They're not building product like we build because they can't build product like we build. So what are they doing? All that shit they're selling you at the same price we sell it to you for? They don't have fucking, there is not fucking 25% of the labor that it takes to build our shit in that, but they're charging you the same price. Really, their prices should be less. They're using less material. They're using way less labor. They're using way less skill. They should be able to build way fucking more of it, but they're still charging you our prices for it. You guys like it because it's neat and it looks cool. You know why they cut all those pals?
Because they can't make it.
Because they can't they don't have somebody that can sit there and sew that shit straight. I do videos fucking sewing pals all the fucking time. You can see tons of shit of me building it and my people building it. We walk through here with cameras all the time. They're not doing it, they've got you guys fooled that it's a neat fucking new product. They're doing it that way because their profit margin is fucking 3 times what ours is, but they're not passing any of the savings to you guys. You guys have been fooled.
The other thing too is you're talking about, you know, when you look at a lot of those companies, them top companies that you go look, oh God, look, the SEALs are using this, or
It's throwaway.
it's throwaway. Those guys are not using a piece of equipment. It's not the longevity of the operator. So when they go fucking and do their deployment, they come back, they throw that shit away, or it falls apart out there and they just get another one. It's a throwaway item for those top tier guys. Where, like I said, I have stuff that John made 20 years ago that I really used, and you can't tell that. I mean, I guess you could tell it's 20 years old because of the color in the woodland, but other than that, it's as solid as it was 20 years ago. So that's the difference. The difference is the longevity of the product. Is it going to hold up in adverse conditions for a long period of time, which most of that stuff won't, just because of the way they build them.
We build gear for meat eaters. We're building gear for the real world now. Like, we did all the SEAL team stuff. We still do a little bit of SEAL team stuff. We still do some SF stuff here and there. We're building gear for dudes that are, preparing for the end of the world. We're building gear for dudes that want to buy something one time and have that shit 10 years later. And that's what we're building gear for. We are building shit that will literally last generations. Heirloom products, we've heard them called that. You want the best? That's us. You want the lightest? There's some other shit that's lighter. It doesn't last. Most of you guys buying our shit have this idea that you're going to into the world and you're going to go run to the hills. That's our shit. Take that other shit and run to the hills and see what happens with it. It's not going to fucking last in that scenario. When it rips, you're gonna find a fucking burlap bag and be carrying your shit in some fucking like Huck Finn, like a hobo with a fucking broom handle and a burlap bag's how you're gonna be carrying your mags when some of that other bullshit fails. Watching podcast episode 39, and 2 minutes after talking about phone updates, my phone shut down and updated. Mine did that fucking sitting right here the other day.
Yep.
This motherfucker did this. I was watching my iPad and looked over and my phone rebooted itself and uploaded this afternoon. Love the podcast. You guys, this is how I wind down after a long day and what I talk about at work the next day. Clint Sanders, awesome. I would hope that some of us, what we say, motivates you and hypes you up and gets you like a Rocky montage. You want to go out and fucking punch the bag and go fucking build something and get some tools out and hustle and create something. But if we put you to sleep, well, at least have good dreams.
Yeah, good dreams, good dreams.
I'm on this thing right now.
I should read a little bit of poetry at the end of every single one of these.
With and smoke a cigarette through a long straw. And get a beret, and we'll do a golf clap.
Yeah, that would be good.
Dramatic poetry readings.
Dramatic poetry.
I'm on this thing right now, like, so I go to bed, I go to sleep at, let's say 12, right? I can go to sleep at 11, I can go to sleep at 12, I can go to sleep at 1, but I wake up at fucking 3:30, and I'm thinking I should just get up at 3:30 and get some shit done, and then if I'm fucking crash later in the day, just fucking lay down and nap for an hour or 30 minutes, and fucking see how that goes. Like, my clock has been reset, I don't know why. I can take chemicals to help me sleep. I can take chemicals to help me rest. But no matter what I do, whether if I drink right before I go to sleep, or I don't drink before I go to sleep, or I go to sleep, like I'm just tired and I go to sleep, I'm up at 3:30. If I take chemicals, I'm up at 3:30. I really think I need to just fucking get up at 3:30 and see what happens. Get some shit done. And then maybe nap, fucking if I really crash later in the day. But usually, like, I'll get tired at like 1:30, 2 o'clock. I'll be fucking tired. But if I just fucking suck it up and push through it for 15, 20 minutes, I'm good.
I would say that's natural. That's natural, but we don't eat any carbs, so it kind of doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But same thing.
I think it's time of day.
So for me, I think it's right about 1:30. I'm like,
yeah.
Fuck, I'm tired. And then that will last really until 3 o'clock. And then I won't be tired. I'll be like, fuck.
Maybe we should get like those.
But then we go do this, I'll be wide awake.
Maybe we should get nap chambers.
That would be awesome. But it wouldn't
Let's
work.
Get hyperbaric chambers. We take oxygen naps with white noise.
We could get nap chambers, but nap chambers wouldn't work because you would be talking. You would. I guarantee you'd be disturbing the nap with some sort of. I thought, hey, what if we do this? You couldn't take a nap. You're the terrible napper. I would not want to nap in the same room.
Yeah, I always got kicked out of nap time.
Yeah,
I was always in trouble.
You'd be poking
in school in the first, second, third grade. I was always in trouble at nap time.
Yeah.
And then come time to get up, I was fucking asleep. Love this podcast, you guys. How I went down. Skully, a big booty bitch in an NSW rig would be the best gift. Laugh out loud. Another great one, boys. I'm off to watch some shoe porn.
I just got 2 messages from you.
Just to satisfy my foot fetish. I sent those hours ago.
I just got 2.
One's about in Mexico. There's a drug lord. There was a corrupt police officer built a Parthenon. Literally,
no corrupt police officers in Mexico.
Built this in Mexico. He built this fucking Parthenon. It is fucking awesome, and it's just sitting there. It's still there. It's all concrete. And what I said was,
how corrupt?
Yeah.
How corrupt do you have to be where you're like, I'm going to build a Parthenon?
Dude, it's awesome. And it's not just the Parthenon. It's tons of Greek. Like, it's awesome. What I said is, hey, we should go buy this.
Or we should find out who made it and just have them come make it.
Well, we know who made it. Because I sent it to Carrie, too. I'm like, hey, check out these gates. These look just like the gates you're building me. So, I sent that to a few people to watch that movie. That video. It's an urban exploration thing. These dudes had been to Mexico 3 times, got denied. Third time, they got in touch with whoever owns it, and they let them in and videoed it.
I would
and
not
you go
want
into
to go to Mexico and do urban exploration.
You go into the basement, and the stairs to the basement are weird but they're like super skinny stairs. They go down and turn and go down. Now they're in the basement, and they've jackhammered the whole floor up, and there's a tunnel they dug down where the dude had some fucking gold buried or something. But the pool, it's the biggest fucking swimming pool. Like private owned swimming pool anybody ever had. It's fucking awesome.
Can you imagine? Just think
Beautiful, dude. It's still all there.
Think about the corruption level in the sense of, hey, John, what are you doing over? 2 cops eating donuts. Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Just putting some more columns in the old Parthenon.
How corrupt are you?
How corrupt?
How corrupt are you in Mexico that Mexico fucking arrests you and puts you in prison?
Just like, how is that? How is that not one of those things? It's like.
What about
How are you paying for a Parthenon?
What about dude? It's not just the Parthenon. It's like every fucking Greek fucking. It's awesome. How about El Chapo? They closed. They kicked all the news. He started naming names.
Yeah.
And they kicked all the fucking people
He's
out.
just
He
like,
started naming members of Congress and.
Yeah, he's just like who's the guy from Panama?
Noriega.
He's just like Noriega. Noriega did the same thing. He's like, if you fucking...
I'm really not a bad guy.
Yeah, if you,
all of your people are.
If you convict me, I'm going to name names. And they kicked everybody out, and they'll just lock them up. Same thing what they did with, same thing. That's what our government does. What our government does is manipulates outcomes. And in order to manipulate outcomes, you create situations such as El Chapo, General Noriega, fucking Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein. I mean, Saddam Hussein, we put him in power. We create those situations. So, pretty terrible.
Once again, Killer Podcast, thanks for answering my questions and including my comments. I've seen the video you're referring to, Skully. Yes, those goats hit the shade when the 45 said pop. Laugh out loud. I'm not a caliber snob by any means when we were killing the goats.
Oh, yeah.
If it can punch a hole, it's deadly. It's all about shot placement. But I do love some 45 ACP.
It's shot placement, volume of fire. I mean, truth be told, a gun that holds 12 rounds is technically better than a gun that holds 7 rounds. Speaking
of goats, did you see how they were making insulin from 200 goats?
I did not see that.
There's a video. You've been tagged in it.
I didn't see it.
Skully is absolutely right on not writing off people's student loans, but it's a shitty college, gave you a women's studies and gender studies degree, and you can't pay back the loan because the real world is too hard. Should be able to hold the school responsible. You also can't expense any student loans when you file bankruptcy.
Here's the thing, though. Even in that scenario, even in that scenario that you're talking about, that individual picked those things to study.
Because it was easy.
If just because the government said, "Hey, guess what? I'm going to give you a loan for $100,000 if you go to school." And you take a gender studies class, or you take any of those fucking SJW classes that will not get you a job in the real world, you pick them. Nobody was like, "Hey man, this is what you have to do." You picked them. You fell into that trap. That's your own fault. I have no sympathy. I have no sympathy for those people if they have to pay. If it takes them 100 years to pay their college loans off, I am sorry, but every single time you took more money, you signed the document. You said, "Hey, I am going to be responsible for this." That's the biggest problem we have is no one wants to take responsibility for their own shit anymore.
You know where you get to work? You get to go to the rallies and you get to fucking rally up some more fucking students. And then you get a job as a professor. Now that you have brought in your flock, you get to be a fucking furry leg lesbian, and you get to fucking teach fucking women's studies to fucking estrogen saggy titty dudes at those fucking colleges. That's where it's at. And the dude goes on to say, I'm not
yelling at you, dude. Yeah. I'm just saying, I don't have any sympathy for that. I don't get to not pay my credit card debt because I just feel like I've ran up too many charges. I'm sorry, I cannot do that. Well, in theory, you can do certain things like bankruptcy, but if you're a grown-ass adult, you need to be able to handle your shit. If you can't handle your shit, that's not my responsibility to take on that debt. Because that's what happens if the college loans go away. We, the people who are responsible enough not to take on that fucking debt, are going to have to pay for it.
Says they already spent the money and are paying back the finance company. Any rock climbing around Camden? Fuck no, there's no rock climbing around. I have half of a room full of rock climbing equipment.
We had to bring in a fucking lift. We had to bring in a lift just so John could break out some ropes to rappel off. Yeah, there's nothing around here.
Hey John, we've spoken about the things you've acquired for peeping.
Peeping? Who are we peeping
means prepping. But you haven't gone into why you started prepping and why you guys made the move to Tennessee. I've gone into it a billion times. Would you go into detail about why? By the way, bought a sling, active shooter bag, Velcro holster, Velcro organizer and rifle case over the last 2 days. So you should probably have them by now, right? Getting ready.
Probably the Velcro holster. We just finished cutting those out.
Getting ready for the arrival. I've built Velcro holsters fucking 2-3 times in the last few
Yeah,
days.
but it's
they
bought 1,000 of them.
I'll be keeping this gear in my vehicle's get home bag. Appreciate the
Good.
podcast. Really prepping was, the run to the hills. The Russians are coming. Red Dawn. That's where it kind of started. And then Nostradamus. HBO was really good about Nostradamus before the Discovery History Channel existed. So that kind of gave the interest. It just gave me, it was like an excuse, right? That's the thing, but then you go collect all the shit. It's an excuse to go shooting and go climbing and get in shape and go mountain biking. It was just doing dude stuff. And luckily there was hot chicks that did that, so it was chasing pussy and doing dude stuff at the same time. As far as Tennessee, that's because Jaeger's here. I did business. We did millions of dollars through a company called Light Fighter. James was the president of Light Fighter. So when I got out of prison, like everybody in California is like, I got to get the fuck out of California. James was the only dude that's like, you should come to Tennessee. So I actually did. The day I was off probation, I came to Tennessee, rented a house, went home, moved here 30 days later, ran into this guy a couple years later, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm in a free world. He's like, is it true? Is it true?
Bullshit.
Tell me the truth.
It does not exist.
Is it true? And he moved out here 6 months later. He fucking flew out here and was here a few months after that.
Yep. And I don't regret any of it. And
No.
I came out here under the assumption that
I was full of shit.
that it was not
If
true.
even 10% of what he said is true.
It was just the whole 10%. If it's 10% is true, then I'll be happy. And it was like more of like
I was playing it down.
yeah, John played it down. It's way better here than there's not.
I like to.
I actually
I like to underpromise and overdeliver.
I actually thought it was a trick. Okay, so when you live in California, your whole life, and you hear anything about the South, it's because the Klan is in the South and all the racists are in the South and everybody's hateful in the South. Well, that's what you hear, and
It's crazy. There's whites and black folk just like getting along.
When I came out here, that I don't want to say that was the focus of what I was thinking, but
We got a ton of gay folks around here. Not one of them's been hung. Nobody's been drugged through the street.
Nope.
It's fucking crazy.
When we were here for like a week, just looking to see what kind of what was available and stuff, and I told Gina, I'm like, man, I think it's a trick. And she's like, what do you mean? I go, I think it's a trick. We have not met or talked to anybody that was even remotely not nice. Like, everybody has been fucking nice as shit. Even when they were talking shit about somebody, they did it in a nice way. And I'm like, I think it's a trick. And so we're at a Burger King in Paris, and this old man just starts going off. I want some ketchup. Hey, young lady, get me some ketchup. He's just going off. I'm going to go, I go, there it is. I said, see, he's too old. He doesn't realize he's supposed to hide that before we move here. That guy, he's an asshole. And this young girl working at Burger King goes and brings him his ketchup. And as soon as she gets close to him, he's like, oh my God, I am so sorry I yelled at you. I can't believe that I used that tone. And he goes,
It's my Tourette's.
I just really needed the ketchup, and you're such a lifesaver for bringing me the ketchup. I'm like, God damn it, that don't count. It don't count if he apologizes for it, because no one does that anywhere else. I mean, and the truth, like John said, even after moving here, I thought I heard whisperies and rumblies in the woods that there was going to be like a Klan meeting or something, and there ain't none of that shit. I've met more, like...
We've gone looking for it.
I have met more openly gay people here...
No shit.
...in Tennessee, more... open couple, more racially open couple here in Tennessee than any time I was in California. This place is, what people are saying, they are full of fucking shit.
You're accepted here. Like,
Yeah.
I really, it's kind of the libertarian thing, or really it's the anarchist thing. Non-aggression principle. Like, I don't give a fuck what you're doing in your house. I don't care what you're doing out on the fucking road. I don't care what you're fucking doing walking up my driveway until you're doing something I don't fucking want done on my property. I don't care. If it's not affecting me, I don't give a shit. If you're doing it at Walmart and I don't like it, then I shouldn't be fucking looking at it. I'll just fucking leave and come back. That's what it comes down to. Like, people here are not going to fuck with you if you're not. There are some churchy busybodies. We've had a few of those. I actually thrive on that shit. I'll always fucking take it way beyond where they're ready to go with it. But I mean, I'll bring 80 fucking people to your church. We'll be at church every fucking Sunday. Like, pretty soon you won't even be going to your own church. I'll buy your fucking church. There's some busybodies like there is everywhere. But people here, they're not going to fuck with you. Like, if you're not doing something that doesn't harm them somehow. I really will buy some churches, though. I think we should go buy every fucking church that's for sale, because we can get them cheap. What would we do with them? Roller skating rinks? Speed church?
You need a fucking museum as well.
Church tour? Oh, we could put a fucking...
You need a museum.
We could put a Crusades torture device museum.
That would be awesome.
Is that what you meant, museum?
I mean, whatever, yeah. It would be the Inquisition. You'd really want to...
Bottles of holy water from every country.
You'd really want the Inquisition torture devices. I think those were better than the...
Hey, John,
Crusades.
You've spoken about the things that you've acquired. Oh, we did that one. Jesse Bidding started wearing Cull because of John. First pair I bought in 2016. Still look brand new.
You're not working hard enough. You better work harder.
Hey guys, I actually, how my Culls fail? I carry keys in my pocket and they poke a hole finally through the pocket. My pocket, inside little corner pocket fails. But you know what? I tag all the people that, products we like. Katanica, Loomtech, those companies are great. They interact with us on Facebook. But whoever that fucking granola motherfucker eating person at Cull, every now and then they'll like some shit, but they never comment. They never participate. So if you watch or listen to our podcast, what?
You know what that could be, though?
What?
That could be just the fact that when you're buying Coles,
yeah.
Coles, whatever, when you're buying the pants, you're buying them through REI. You're not buying them through...
No, I buy them directly from Cull.
Do you?
Yeah, REI stopped carrying them. They only carry the swishy pants.
I was just thinking that,
But no, I tag them on Instagram. I comment. Like, we fucking we send them a link to our video and shit. So, if you're watching our shit and you like Culls, get on there, make an effort, and don't flood them all at once. I mean, we'll flood them all at once, but every week go do it. Tag them in some shit. Hey, I love your product. We heard about you from John Willis and Jeff at SOE. Fucking make them fucking comment. And then if they come out and they're like, no, we don't like gun companies, well, we'll burn every fucking Cull we have, and we'll switch over and just buy a shitload of Katanicas.
We'll be wearing Levi's.
Levi's.
They're anti-gun too, though, so not Levi's.
Golf Gunner. Love the podcast. I share it with my coworkers. On another note, I have recently gotten into long-range shooting. While getting gear together and watching other established people in the sport, I've seen a lot of these guys carrying drag bags that are meant for one long-range rifle with several pockets and guns securing devices with Velcro straps that also fold out into a shooting mat. I looked at your site and didn't see anything similar. Have you guys ever considered something like that? I would assume, since you guys spend several thousands on a single gun, they would buy a nice SOE drag bag to use if you need reference. NC Star. Isn't NC Star complete shit? Do I have that mixed up?
What is it?
I think it's like Voodoo. Thanks again for the podcast. Yeah, everybody built those. The SEALs got issued them. The Marine Corps got issued them. They weren't fucking using them. It's a bag with a bunch of... By the time you load that bullshit up, it weighed fucking 10 times what the gun weighed. You know how they fucking carried them? They put them in a fucking small bag and fucking put all the real shit in a backpack. Go ahead.
I mean, if you're getting into long range shooting from the aspects of just shooting long range, then the Eagle drag bag is probably the way to go, because
I don't think they even make them.
I'm sure you can find them. I mean, because the Marine...
I don't think Eagle's producing anymore.
They have to be, because we still have them.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think they only build for Berry compliant contract.
Anyways.
You'd have to get it from Blackhawk.
just look up the Eagle drag bag. See if they still. That is really
That's the bad, and that's the
that's the
bag.
best one.
And that's the bag you're talking about.
If you're talking about, I'm going to the range, I'm going to be on the 1,000-yard line, and I'm going to shoot targets all day. That is the best one. Everything that has a pocket for putting everything you need at the range in this bag. So mostly you see a lot of cops using them because it's that bag that is just in the trunk. I take that bag out. I walk to wherever I'm going to shoot. I got everything in there. I got my tripod, my rifle, my fucking range, whatever I'm using for range finding.
For shooting off wall barriers.
All that shit is in that bag. What you will find is you will make that bag.
55 pounds.
You'll make that bag very heavy. But once again, if you're just on the range, that's perfectly fine. As a drag bag, it's not very practical because of the footprint it puts out. So when you're skull dragging and you have that bag behind you, it creates a huge footprint. And the problem is the only thing you can do is
fucking moves brush.
You can choke it up. You can choke that thing all the way up to your ass. But when you turn, now you've got 3 feet of this drag bag behind you, and you're fucking creating this goddamn crop circle with your drag bag. So it creates some problems. It's not conducive. Same thing, like a lot of guys will run a line to it and then fucking drag it so it's behind them. But you have the same problem. You've got this fucking super carrier behind you that's just going and doing what it wants to do. So a lot of guys will get busted in stock lanes because their drag bag is back there fucking going in the opposite direction, even though it's tethered to you. So it's not very good for that. But if you're talking about just a range bag, just to go to the range, I'm going to shoot some steel targets. The Eagle bag is the best bag for that because you can get everything you need. You basically can put everything you need to shoot inside that bag and only have to carry one bag. It's got fucking pack straps on it.
Or you could just use a golf bag with some wheels on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good bag for that.
I'm being a smart ass, but guys actually do that.
For the most part, when you're talking about sniping, anytime you're using a drag bag, that's not... Even, the Marine Corps, for the longest time, we didn't have packs to carry rifles, so you would T-bone the gun across your pack. If you put it in that drag bag, you're now this wide. So, it's a good range bag, but it's not very conducive for any type of
here's the other deal.
Movement shit.
Those bags sell for $350. If we put that bag out,
oh man, it'd be a fucking $1 million.
It'd be $1,000 bag, and in the labor to build that bag, I can build fucking 5 of the bags we're already building. Like it's not our thing. Just same reason we don't build fucking intricate backpacks. And we're at capacity.
And if you can't get an Eagle bag, Tac Ops. Tac Ops is Mike Rosigno. He built sniper rifles.
We probably can't get his either because he's constantly asking us to build them.
But he built sniper rifles in California, and they have a bag that is similar to the Eagle bag.
Jamie Dimon took the framework from Bitcoin and made their own JPM coin to stay in as the middleman, but it is just as fake as printed money. I don't know what we're talking about there.
Yeah, well, either way, the difference between printed money and Bitcoin is printed money is backed by something. It's backed by the United States of America. I can take my printed money and
put it in the bank.
I can take it. Here's the other thing that all you Bitcoin people don't understand. Or
while you guys were all fucking talking about Bitcoin, you should have jumped in and fucking bought some and made some money doing it. It worked like the stock market. There's a lot of rich fucking motherfuckers.
It was a pyramid scheme. The guys who got in first and got out first are the ones that are the richest. But I can take a dollar bill and spend it anywhere in the fucking world. Anywhere in the world. There's nowhere in the world where someone will go, oh yeah, shit, we don't take those.
You guys are all focused on the Bitcoin thing. You ought to be focused on the blockchain, because you could take that money. If you could take that money and put it out there in some fucking Ethernet, put it out there in the fucking ether, and you can get on any computer and fucking punch a code in. There were ways to move that money. Somebody couldn't steal it. Once you were in Australia, you could download it, put it on a fucking USB drive, move it to a fucking card, and spend it like a debit card. That's the cool shit about it. The anonymity. That's why they want to fucking kill it, because the government couldn't fucking tax it.
And they'll figure out a way some way. There's actually a couple of U.S. banks that are trying a Bitcoin.
Yeah, the government's going to do it.
But when you see
Russia's doing their own, China's doing their own.
Wait till you see your Federal Reserve. When the Federal Reserve starts talking about it, then you know there's going to be a serious problem.
Miracle Whip is a slight against God. Let's take mayo and make it sour and weird. Yes, the Lord slighted those responsible for that abomination. That was my reply.
Is there anything? What do you make with Miracle Whip besides mayonnaise sandwiches?
Fucking nothing.
There's got to be something that people make with Miracle Whip.
It's for homeless people that want fucking mayonnaise. Really, that's what it is. They're like, what do we do with all this rancid mayonnaise? Oh, let's just sell it as Miracle Whip.
Miracle Whip?
This botulized fucking rancid. I'd rather eat fucking rancid tuna fish out of my own asshole. That was from Bloodhound Gang. I'd rather hump a piece of splintered balsa wood. The lap dance is always better when the stripper's crying. Laugh out loud. These last 30 seconds made the whole hour and a half. You said it best, though, John. If people could stop trying to one-up everybody they know and work together, things might actually be all right. But that's too simple for most of the younger generation. Sadly, I'm 31, and I can't name one person I know that's not 5 years older than I am that I spend any time with. Everybody my age is either still at mama's house or strung out and pretty much homeless. Laugh out loud. Random rant there. Haha. Thanks for those. Thanks for these, you too, Skully. Think about it, guys. We all know some dude. You see him on Facebook or whatever. He's at every fucking concert. He's at every sporting event. He's talking about every fucking sports team. All the time and energy spent in that. Imagine if that motherfucker took that money. Imagine if he took that money and just bought some land. You can buy property. Imagine if he bought some property. How his life would fucking change. Imagine how his kids' lives would change.
Here's the thing about that guy, though. His parents want him to be living in the basement, so they're not going to give him money for the property, but they'll give him.
Oh, you think it's? Yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah, they'll give
him
money
that.
to go to
Gotcha.
Lilith. They'll give him money to go to Lilith Fair. He can go to Lilith Fair, but
the Lesbian Man Haters Club. Yeah. Great podcast, fellas. Thanks for your time. I grew up in the trades. I ended up in an irregular trade because I like a challenge. But anyway, anyone willing to work for money can do well in trades. Welding, electrician, carpentry, plumbing, HVAC, and the people with entrepreneurial desire can actually own and operate businesses successfully early on in life. Teach your children to get a trade first, then they will be able to pay to pursue whatever additional education they desire on their own. Stop paying the learning tax that is the business model of higher education. P.S. Thanks, John, for the second run of AOR2 kit bags. I got one. Regards from the frozen north. That's our Canadian.
It's either shipped today or it's sitting on Nick's shelf to ship. When you're talking about those trades, I just heard a thing about I can't think of his name. He's running for president and he wants to give everybody $1,000. He wants to give everybody $1,000, but he was talking to some tech people and they're talking about all the jobs that are going to disappear because of artificial intelligence or just, mechanical means. And truck drivers are one of them they're talking about. And
the truck drivers aren't fucking listening to that. Holy shit, they're fucking... That can't happen.
Anything that supports the truck driving community, so all your truck stops and all that stuff's going to disappear if AI takes over. But one of the things he was talking about was, he talked about plumber and things like that. There's a bunch of people in Silicon Valley right now that are trying to automate all kinds of things. And the one thing they're not trying to automate is poop, is HVAC. They're not trying to automate any of those things, even like welding. I know there's some automated welding out there, but the one thing that's interesting about human beings is this right here. the dexterity we have in our hands, and even though we have all these crazy fucking machines and all this stuff, they can't replicate a lot of that. And so, not yet, but when you're talking about jobs, those jobs that in the trades are really going to be around for a fucking long time. They're going to be around for a long time. And here's the thing. If there's only 500 plumbers left in the world and fucking Bill Gates' toilet stops up, you're going to get as much money as you want to fix that toilet. That's the beautiful thing about plumbing is plumbing's not something anybody wants to fuck with. Nobody wants to fuck with plumbing. They just want the water to stop pouring through their roof, or they want the toilet to flush, or I want a guy to show up on Saturday to unclog my septic tank. That's not going to be a fucking robot anytime soon. And the smaller that trade shrinks, the more money you are going to be able to obtain for your services. I know some people in the HVAC community and a couple of old plumbers that are living large. They're living pretty large, and it's because, you know, people were telling their kids the lie about go to college, and so those industries have shrunk in the United States, which creates a vacuum of need, and so people will pay whatever it takes to get that fucking fixed or make that happen. It's kind of like the lie that everybody's telling their kids now about go ahead and live in the basement till you're 27, you'll be just fine. And now what you're going to have in a couple of years is all these adults that are going to be out in the world and will have no adult skills because their parents have been fucking pampering them their whole life.
They plant shit in all those reality shows. I was a contractor working in a house in Knoxville, Tennessee a few years ago. They were filming the show First Time Flippers at the house. We would do all the work, but they would film the owner who knew nothing about construction starting and finishing a tile floor, for instance. I would show them how to prep the floor, throw down the grout, rake it out, and how to position the tile. They would lay down the first one and the last one. I'd do everything in between. They actually paid $400 a day just to let the owners use my tools as props. I took my own video.
Awesome.
I took my own video of them videoing the show and us doing the work as proof. It just goes to show what you think you see happening may not be what's really happening. John, my name is still available on my account. I changed it for the purpose of starting a channel of my own. Please don't give me shit about it. Nick Bolton. No worries, dude.
Yeah, no worries, man. As long as you're giving good information, I don't care if you're using your
Cody Stout. I ain't gay underway, and it's only gay if you make eye contact. It ain't gay underway.
I don't know. That's a tall tale right there. I had an incident on the I want to say it was the Tarawa. Two sailors were
Butt fucking.
They were doing something, but there was some.
Where they both have penises.
They were in the mailroom. They both had penises. They were in the mailroom, and some shenanigans were happening in the mailroom. And one of them decided.
Were these guys in your platoon?
No, they were.
I'm fucking with you.
They were in.
They're Navy.
They were in the Navy, and one of them, and this is the Marine Corps berthing area. There's a little mailroom in the Marine Corps berth. There used to be, anyways.
For mail.
And
checking the mail. Get it. Check.
And I don't know why the Navy was running.
Versace.
Yeah, I don't know why the Navy was running that thing. So they had the space in the Marine Corps berthing area, and out of the blue, this naked dude goes running through the berthing area, screaming all the way out. And then there's another naked dude in the mailroom looking out like, "Hey, man, I told you I was just going to do the tip." Anyways, so they have this incident, and I am not kidding you. In less than 6 hours, those two dudes. So we're off the Arabian Peninsula. We're on the other side of the world, off the Arabian Peninsula. In less than 6 hours, those guys were no longer anywhere in the Persian Gulf. They had them off the Tarawa, I think, in like an hour. Just, hey, come on. We need to get you boys out of here. Flew them to another ship, And then as soon as they got to that ship, they flew them off to the carrier group. And then the carrier group's like, you can't be here either. We're sending you out. Because, sometimes 45-pound plates disappear on ship all the time. And that could have been a problem for those guys. But it's just amazing.
For you guys that don't know, they're talking about fucking putting plates, weight plates on them and fucking tossing them off the ship.
Yeah.
Doesn't somebody fucking not come back from deployment almost every deployment?
I don't think it's that bad anymore.
Is
I
it
don't
true
think
that the fucking bottom levels of a carrier are fucking gang controlled?
Oh, I don't believe that at all.
No?
No. The only gang-controlled place on a U.S. Navy vessel is the chow hall. And it's because of the Filipino mafia. Filipino mafia rule with an iron fist on those ships.
Buy unlocked phones that are a generation or two back, and you will save a ton on phone. Plus, you do not have to sign a 2-year contract. For example, right now, you can pick up a Google Pixel, which is a piece of shit. Ask Pierre. For $300, and it can be used on any provider. It is more than powerful enough for anything you want to do. Got it.
Yeah, you can get all kinds of phones off of eBay for cheap that are unlocked. But
go ahead.
But I don't know where I was going with that. You can get cheap phones, but most people aren't going to go through the trouble of getting an unlocked phone and then going to AT&T and explaining to them, hey, I'm not really going to buy your phone, but I need you to hook this phone. I don't know.
An AKS-74U will fit in an SOE large tool bag, folded with the booster on. What's the booster?
That's the muzzle brake, the muzzle device.
And there's plenty of room for Velcro-backed mag cards, which will be on my next order, and some more tool bags and tool pods. Right on, Pete. Right on.
Bring that AKSU here. I want to shoot it.
He then says, got my large multicam tool bag and Valentine's Day special toiletry bags within a well of order. I think he means week. The motherfucking SOE, within a week of ordering, the motherfucking SOE crew is the shit. Skully, Foul, or 308 Galil.
Man, that's it. You know what? I'm sorry. I know what you want me to say. You want me to tip my toe in the old support of the Foul. But if I have to choose between the Galil and the Foul, I'm gonna stay with my Hebrew cousins, man. I'm gonna stay with it. Fight the power. I'm gonna go with the Galil. And the only reason why I'm gonna go with the 308 Galil, what they use in way of the gun. Of course, they use the 308 Galil in way of the gun.
Or heat.
So yeah, I'm going with the Galil.
Any place you're likely to fucking be shooting and fighting motherfuckers with 308, you're gonna be able to get Foul mags, not Galil mags.
That's not true. I bought a fucking FAL. I bought an L1A1 from...
Which was a Foul.
Yeah, but I bought an L1A1 from Johnson. Cannot find a fucking magazine
they're
for...
intrametric.
Yeah,
the weird ones.
Cannot find a fucking magazine anywhere on the face of the planet for that damn gun.
Talk to Ramsey.
I haven't talked to Ramsey in years, man.
I see Dwayne posting photos with them dudes.
You know what though, Ramsey...
Not Ramsey, but the other guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't found any...
Ken Elmore. Ken Elmore reached out to me
Did he?
a year ago, probably.
He probably has a fucking Connex box full of those things.
Mm.
But the same thing with the 308 Galil. Go ahead and try and buy a 308 Galil magazine. Holy shit, those
That's
things
what
are
I'm saying.
expensive.
No kidding. I know of a man that rubbed 10W40 on his skin in his joint areas when they hurt. He swore it worked. Have you noticed some individuals have strange ways with dealing with what ails them? Have met several individuals that wear... I'm reading this other one. Have met several individuals that swear by turpentine on cuts and bruises. I thought of it when you brought up mayonnaise. Do you all know of individuals who claim to have home remedies that work, and what are they?
Here's the thing about all that stuff. Whether it's fucking
So if your head thinks it
spraying
works,
Windex on fucking bug bites, if you believe it works, if you really truly believe that it works, then it's going to work. And it will have nothing to do with what you're spraying on there, and everything to do with what you're convincing your body is true to be formed. This has happened all the time. There's actually a study right now. There's a study right now in the United States that says
positive thoughts.
that the placebo effect, so that it's called the placebo effect. It's so when we're going to do a drug study, and we want to know how heroin affects people. They're going to give John a heroin patch that he's going to put on his shoulder, and then they're going to give me a patch, and I'm going to put it on my shoulder, and I'm going to be like, some good heroin, man. But it's nothing. It's just going to be some fucking Vaseline or something. It's nothing on there.
The big dick patch. You'll wake up and your dick will be an inch bigger.
That's the placebo effect if I get results. If I truly believe that this is fucking making me high, I'm going to act like I'm fucking high. Or whatever. But the placebo effect has been around for a long time. Like even in Korea, there's a bunch of incidents where MASH units would run out of morphine, and the doctors would just be like, hey dude, we're out of morphine, but we got this new shit that they just flew in from fucking the United States that makes morphine even better. Take this pill. And they would just give him aspirin, and then 20 minutes later the guy would be like, man, you're right, doc, I feel good. So there is a certain placebo effect. So if you really believe that mayonnaise is going to cure your acne, there might be a good chance that it may work if you believe it hard enough.
It's just like performance enhancing stuff during the tests with placebos. Half of it is just that the motherfucker will actually go and actually fucking work out or put forth a little more effort because he believes he's got some performance enhancing chemical.
That doesn't work for everybody, but you can convince yourself that something is doing something that it really isn't.
Just like you bang a strange chick. If you spray Lysol in there, she probably won't be pregnant tomorrow. And it won't stink.
Let's just hope she believes that. If she believes it, then you're good to go.
Yeah, you might have a problem with when she calls the police over it, but the sun, I think there could be psychological component. Of course there is. I knew someone who swore rubbing a dry bar of soap on her hand helped with joint pain. That could just be rubbing it out too.
Yeah, it could be just rubbing it out.
But rubbing it causes blood flow. Yes, I've met a few folks who said that WD-40 for joints and muscle aches. My cheese wheel. There's a dude named My Cheese Wheel. Best customer service I ever had. Thanks, John and team. Keep up the good work. I would like to see a perimeter ride of the property for future plans. When and if you get time. No ETA. Thanks again. You guys rock.
For future plans, why are you going to come build a Coliseum?
Watch our last tool bag video. We were all over the property on that one. I know what you're saying though. Have an idea how the ATF can save a shit ton of money and resources instead of taking 7+ months to approve the stamp for a silencer. How about they allow 4473, the same form to purchase a gun, to replace all of that bullshit. Still charge the $200, but allow FFLs to issue the stamp. The money still goes to the Treasury. The background check is still done. ATF still knows who has an NFA item. Everybody wins.
Because the goal here is not the goal here is
it's not about the money.
The goal here is to make it inconvenience. What most people don't understand is when they put the $200 tax stamp on there, the reason why they picked $200 is because at the time of this, $200 was not an obtainable thing. It was a thing that your average American would be like, fuck, $200, I could buy a car for that. I'm not buying this stupid little toy that goes on the end of the gun.
Keep you from having them.
They weren't forward thinking enough to realize that inflation would make $200
Nothing.
a obtainable item. So the goal here is not to get you a suppressor. The goal is to make it as complicated as possible and take as long of time. Because I know plenty of people, and I did it. I lived here for 2 years where I'm like, I'm in free state. I'm going to get me a suppressor. I'm going to get me I got to go get photos and fingerprints, and I got to and it's going to take 6 months, blah, blah, blah. And so it took me 2 years. It literally took me 2 years to do the fucking paperwork and get it through, and and then I still had to wait 5 months. Mine came really fast, the first ones. These last two are killing me.
We're at about 2.5 hours right now.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
We started at 5, right?
I don't know what time we started.
7:30.
It is really 7:30? It can't be 7:30. I think there's something wrong with your phone. It is only 6:23. Your phone is lying to you. It went to another state.
Fuck?
Yeah, so the idea behind the $200 tax stamp was just to make it unobtainable for normal citizens. If they did the same thing, now, they would say you have to pay a $10,000 tax stamp. So they don't want to make it easier for you. And they want to have that paperwork. And I am sure that there is a fucking basement somewhere in the federal government that has all those cute little stamps. They just have stacks of them. And they're like, we got to keep doing this because we have all these stamps. What else are we going to do with these stamps? They're forever stamps too, by the way.
Which insulin pen does not need to be refrigerated? I use Tresiba for long acting and Humalog for short acting. Both say to refrigerate before first use and then store at room temperature after. Much better than using bottles and syringes, but would be nice to avoid having to refrigerate completely. Thanks for the work that goes into these podcasts.
I mean, I can look at the ones I have, and I'll tell you tomorrow. I do keep them in the fridge, which is weird. I keep them in the refrigerator till I fire them up, and
that's what he just said.
Yeah, and then I leave them in the cupboard the whole time. I think it just has to do with maintaining longevity. So it's kind of like where you store your MREs. If you store your MREs in the attic, they're not going to last as long as if you put them in the basement. I think that's what it is, but who knows? John's tired. Look at him. He's like, I thought it was 7:30.
We'll just do the rest of this fucking tomorrow morning.
The rest of what? We got more?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. People are crazy.
Everyone gets an answer.
Everyone gets an answer. It might not be the answer you want.
Everyone gets a stuffed animal.
All right. We're hot. What are we?
Where would you build
44?
your underground lair?
Where would I build it?
Yeah, like an abandoned volcano.
No, because volcanoes have a tendency of doing whatever they want to do.
Well, I mean, they kept Airwolf in one.
That's true, they did.
Or would you go for more like in a waterfall cave?
Oh man, a waterfall cave would be so awesome. Except you'd have to have dehumidifiers running 24/7.
I'd buy an old ass building somewhere.
Like what kind of building? Like an old hospital or something?
Or like just one of those crazy ass buildings like in Louisville.
The best way to do it though is you just get an endowment and you buy a real hospital, and then you just have your lair underneath the real working hospital, and then your secret mobile is an ambulance.
Like a retarded ambulance.
Yeah, so that no one knows.
Like the 1950s with a round fucking
no one knows that you're
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that you're the guy. And that's your secret lair.
We'd have to start like a weapons research, contracting like research.
Yeah, you really need the government. You need Uncle Sugar to give you billions of dollars for absolutely nothing.
Or a DoD contract for $16,000. It's gotta be a misprint.
No, I'll bet he got a DoD contract. I mean, think about it. He probably got a contract for what would it be?
Guarding tequila. What's it? Tequila Dan's or tequila?
Yeah.
What's the nightclub down there? Tequila Joe's.
Tequila Joe's.
DoD contractor, security for Tequila Joe's when the mayor was there once.
Yeah.
We did the insulin pen. This is part 2 of
last
night. So what number is this? 44.
40, maybe 44. I don't remember what I took down.
44.
44.
This will be a short one. I fixed my phone too. That was fucking weird. Huh?
You mean the NSA finally let you have the right time on your phone?
It's 12/26, February 20th, and episode 44. Which insulin pen do you have to refrigerate? We did that one, right?
I totally did not even look at when I went home. I didn't even look at my insulin pen. Sorry, but I mean, when I said you don't have to refrigerate it, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is you can pull those out of the refrigerator and they're still going to be good.
You ain't a baller unless you've been sitting in a British cigar lounge in Bali eating double-aged kangaroo steaks imported from down under.
That's true, man. That place, that was the place I went to in Bali. It was the best steak I've ever eaten, and those Australians were fucking awesome.
Why were there Australians in Bali?
Expats like to go. Because it's close to Bali, but expats like to go to all the
British controlled.
Yeah, former Britishly controlled places, and they just like the. I want to say they just like the Asian area, because like if you go to Thailand, same thing. A lot of the bars are owned by Australian expats and ex-British guys.
We should do some empire building under the name of the Queen. It'd be like being Mormon. I mean, we're just not doing it under the church.
But I mean, what kind of empire building would we do?
Well, we'd have to go where they didn't really have standing militaries.
True.
Empire. Go to where all the sugar beet plantations were.
How about we go to the better one would be we go to Hawaii and we take over the Dole plantation.
Probably wouldn't be hard.
Or even better, and I think it would work. This is my plan. John, we get pirate costumes. And we go take over Johnny Depp's island. I feel like
I don't think there's anything on those.
Yeah,
there's
got
like 10 or 12 of those.
He's got a resort. He's got his own little resort on the island. I feel like if we showed up there in pirate costumes,
he'd be so fucked up. He'd just go right along with it.
But I feel like if we showed up in pirate costumes, even if he wasn't there, the staff would be like, "Oh God, Johnny Depp must be coming down." Great. I think we could hang out there for a couple weeks before anybody would be like, "Do you even know Johnny Depp?"
Probably. I've been taking my kangaroo steaks for years, single-aged. Didn't realize there was double. I'm truly trash. And I said filthy trash, the dirtiest.
They when the first time I had kangaroo steaks was we got replenished in Australia, so they brought food aboard, and one of them was kangaroo steaks that they slide. We have to bring all these fucking cases on, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, that's crazy, kangaroo steaks, and I'm sliding them, and on the side of it a big fucking sticker.
Consumption.
No, it said on the side of it said for Bureau of Prisons only.
Robert says, working together with competitors, I think the term was co-option. Obviously, for corporation and competition, using buy-in power is a classic example. Great podcast as always. Spot on about lawyers. AI can already do most what a lawyer can, and better apparently. In the future, only lawyers at top end and working in specific niches will stay and work. Well, that's with doctors too. Like, they took a bunch of fucking shit and plugged it in a computer and found they cured a couple types of cancer or something. Wasn't that what happened?
I think so. Lawyers, here's the thing too. Lawyers really don't, like, when in real firms, the lawyers that represent the firms really don't work they really don't do that work anyways. They have interns and the fuck are they called them? Basically, they have interns, but then they also have people that are hired onto the firm, and their whole job is to run around and fucking
make offers out of court.
Yeah, but their whole job is to make sure that they have all the proper paperwork for the actual lawyer. And another example would be like
paralegal.
Paralegals. But like Supreme Court justices, the Supreme Court justices don't write any of those fucking. They don't do any of the fucking work that goes into any of their decisions.
Most of them don't even know.
They have a whole fucking staff that does that for them. So in your law firms, if you could get rid of all those lower positions just by using AI, they're going to do it. And then think about all those jobs that are fun. Because usually a lawyer has, anywhere from 6 to 10 underlings in a real law firm that are actually doing all the research and shit for that attorney that's going into court.
Plus, a lot of those cases are won through bribery or extortion. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's all about how good your private investigator is and what kind of dirt you can get on the other side. A lot of those dudes, they'll settle out or just fucking drop the fucking lawsuit based on how much you can fucking publicly fuck them up.
If you were in a lawsuit, if you're suing somebody for something,
and the big companies can drag it out.
If you're suing somebody for something and it's a big company and they come at you with a number, chances are they have twice as much as whatever they're telling you set aside.
You want to tell that story?
To get that? Nah. To set aside to get that judgment settled. So if they come out with if they say, hey, my client is willing to offer you $15,000 to make this all go away, they really have. I'll bet they really have like $60,000. I know I said twice as much, but it was a lot more. They really have $60,000 set aside to handle this case. But the lawyer is always going to lowball it. The lawyer is always going to come in and throw out the lowest possible number that they think you will settle on. And if you're just a regular Joe, You know, if you're a regular Joe and I don't know, fucking Pepsi Cola has sucked all the water out of your land through using their straw method, then you might take the fucking $15,000 because you're like, that's a lot of money. We could use that. We can use that. When in reality, Pepsi Cola knows that if they take it all the way to court,
Millions.
yeah, you're talking millions and millions. So, just interesting stuff about lawyers.
You should tell the story.
No, I don't want to tell the story. Because
This podcast. Just change the name.
it's a
Change the name. Let's call it Monster Energy.
well, you can't do that because Monster Energy is not as good as Red Bull. They don't have the same people.
Just tell the story.
So I know this
Guy.
guy who's a fucking used to be a big wig, and I mean he's still a big wig. Fuck, he's a judge now. He was representing Red Bull, and Red Bull is kind of like representing. He also represented Donald. His firm represented Donald Trump for a little while.
Didn't you thrash that guy all the time?
No. He was my marksmanship instructor. He was awesome.
But before that,
No, that's where I met him. Was at
you know Spearco.
At school.
You know Spearco represented Donald Trump.
yeah.
Worked for his firm.
Yeah, Donald Trump is a terrible person to hire because he doesn't pay his bills, or take on as a client because he doesn't pay his bills. Anyways, Red Bull is another one of those type of companies that they have so much money that they're like, just do it. We'll figure out how to pay for it later, or we don't care if there are fucking endangered turtles on that beach. We're just gonna run the jet skis through there anyways, and we'll pay for it later. So they were going to do the biggest snowmobile jump ever. So they had these two snowmobilers. You know how Red Bull is.
In the Sahara Desert.
The top of the fucking line guys, and they're in California, and Red Bull has this little piece of property.
Was it snowing at the time?
No, it wasn't snowing. It was just California. Red Bull has this piece of property, and they're like, okay, make these fucking ramps, and let's start practicing. So they make these fucking huge dirt ramps, and they're practicing. Well, they didn't do an environmental study.
Dirt ramps or snow ramps?
Dirt ramps.
And they're doing it on jet skis?
No, snowmobiles. This is
That's right.
largest
They got the
yeah.
track things. Okay.
The largest snowmobile jump in Red Bull history, I guess. So they make these fucking huge ass jumps. No big deal. They practice. They're doing all this stuff, but they didn't do anything.
Water flow study.
They didn't do anything that would fucking give them permit to actually do it. And as you know, in California, you have to have a permit to fly a kite. So they do all this. Year goes by. I think they even got the jump off. Like they did the jump in Colorado or wherever there's snow. They did the jump off. Well, they didn't tear down any of the ramps or anything. They just left them there. And it was one of those years where California had a really wet year. And the ramps changed the flow of the water and cut through this fucking guy's property, who was actually using his property, and did a fuck ton of damage on his property. So the guy is going after Red Bull because they fucking made these fucking jumps that flooded his house out. My boy he's representing Red Bull for this, and he has $5 million. Red Bull is like, hey, $5 million, handle it. We just need this to go away, handle it. So he goes and sees the guy, and he's like, goes in there and he does the lawyer thing, and they do the introductions, and he's like, man, you know what? My client is very, very disappointed in this, and we've come to an agreement, and we're willing to offer you $15,000 for the damages on your property. And they're like, no, and he's like, well, I think that's reasonable. And they argue back and forth again, and he's like, okay, how about we give you $20,000 for the damages on your property, and we just call it good.
And a case of Red Bull. I worked out of throwing that in there.
Right? And we'll give you $20,000
and we'll wrap your car in Red Bull.
For the damages on your property. And they're kind of hesitating, right? And so they argue a little bit more, and he goes, look, I get where you're coming from. They did a lot of damage. let me go out here and I'll call my client and we'll see if we can't do a little better. Now remember, he's got $5 million in his pocket. Like, they've already said, here's $5 million, settle it. He goes, let me go out in the hallway, I'll talk to my client. And I'm like, I go, so what'd you do? He goes, I went out in the hallway. I go, but what did Red Bull say? He goes, I didn't call Red Bull. I'm not going to call Red Bull. It's a tactic. I just went out in the hallway and drank a Coke. And then he came back in, after he finished his Coke, came back in and he said, hey, you know what? I got you hooked up. Red Bull, they've decided they're going to give you $28,000 for the damage on your property. And they took the $28,000. So be careful with lawyers. They're shady. Plus, you think, whenever you see those, I always do this. I always do this whenever I hear about a lawsuit or a settlement. So whenever you see those things like,
did you get hit by a bus?
Hit by a bus, or whenever you see like class action lawsuit, we're suing, aspirin for $100 million.
The payout, each of you gets $1.
Yeah. The thing that most people don't realize in any of them, even those ones where they're like, my client got run over by a bus and I got him $1.2 million.
The lawyer gets half of that.
At a minimum half. Like 51% is considered low. That's considered lowballing. When the lawyer says, I'll take your fucking case for 51%. Anytime you see those class action suits, and that's why class action suits are so popular, because lawyers get a shit ton of money out of those suits. So if everybody here at the shop is going to get we're going to sue the city of Camden because aluminum oxide has been spraying all over the fucking yard out here and we're all getting poisoned, and they get $1 million, we, the plaintiffs, are only going to get at a maximum $500,000 to split amongst us. That fucking one lawyer is going to get the rest of it. That's how that shit works. It's pretty bad. That's why you see a lot of class action suits, because they know they're going to get a big paycheck at the end.
Same dude goes on to say everybody should know about Maslow's hierarchy of need.
And if you're a lawyer, I'm sorry, but you guys are...
Used the rifle bag for the first time today after buying guns at the gun shop. AK with underfolding stock fits perfect. Tomorrow, range day. Actually used the rifle bag before. Put in my 15-inch laptop, iPads, and other stuff. Why hasn't Jaeger put up a video when he puts his bullpups in his rifle bag?
Because we haven't given Jaeger a rifle bag yet, because he's not privileged enough.
He hasn't been here.
He hasn't been here. He doesn't come over. He just hides out over there and pretends like we don't exist.
Where's cat sweaters?
A lot of cat sweaters.
Cat sweaters.
Especially when he's bullpupping.
Cat sweaters. It's weird. There's cats all over.
Any 16-inch, it should be any 16-inch that folds at the receiver, whether that's an underfolder or it's a side folder like my Galil, will fit in that fucking case.
Owen Bennett says, another great podcast, guys. Thanks again for doing them and keep them coming. By the way, Miracle Whip has its place. No, I'm not even reading the rest of your shit.
Come on, what is he going to use Miracle Whip for?
The NRA will not fight the fight they need to. They are too busy being bought out to chip away our Second Amendment. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae fucked the entire college education by accepting everyone. Keep in mind,
Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac are federal government institutions.
Yeah, that was all about fucking just manipulation of money, man.
Yep.
Some folks got very rich off of that.
They're still getting rich off of it.
Fuck the entire education by accepting everyone for an area of study. Too many dumb fucked areas of study. You guys, here's another dude, Oliver Brady.
Uh-oh.
You guys
started off with you
guys, the two Utes, you guys talking about going into the trades instead of college in episode 40. I'm a journeyman electrician, and I can tell you, after finishing apprenticeship after 4 years, getting licensed in 2 states, you can easily make over $100,000. And when the economy turns down, I'll always have a job. My licenses reciprocate with multiple states. Anyone can get their trades too. All you gotta do is eat shit while you apprentice, And after that, there is no limit to making money and being successful. Love the podcast and gear. Semper Fi, Skully. Sergeant Brady 0331.
0331. That's the cool thing about that, or I say that's the apprenticeship. That's the only thing that sucks about a real tradesman. That you got to apprentice, and who knows how long the apprenticeship is. I heard. I want to say it was Joe Rogan talking about
Somebody has to die.
his cabinetry shit and how long that they actually wanted you to apprentice to do woodworking, and it was like 6 years or some shit. Or if you're in a small town and you're apprenticing under that crusty old fucking plumber, of course you're going to be the one that
Deals with all
you're going to be the one to deal with the poop. I just recently had a septic problem, and I needed a septic truck to come out. Well, I'm like, there's no way they're going to come out on a Saturday. It's kind of the way it is around here. But Gina knows the owner of this septic tank company because he goes to Loretta Lynn's and does their septic tanks. And so she calls him, and he sends a crew over on a Saturday. And they're looking at my septic tank, and it's funny that septic tank guys,
all of them.
You would think. So I've had two. This is the second septic tank crew I've had out there, and they all just wear they're dressed in just regular clothes, we're gonna go to Walmart after we're done with work, just regular clothes, and all they deal with is poop all day.
So
now
if you see a dude at Walmart looks like he has poop all over him, he might have poop all over him.
So anyways, they're doing the septic tank, and it gets to a point where he's got to snake the line that goes into the house. The guy's like the older guy he's sticking shit in there, and he's telling the kid, don't let the boss know I did this. And he's just, I don't know what stick he was using, but he was sticking it in there. And then he goes, yep, I can feel the clog. It's right up there. We're gonna have to snake it. And so the kid, he's like, go get the fucking 6-foot snake. So he goes to the truck and he brings it down. And I gotta say, at least the old man looked at him and goes, you want me to do it? And the kid was like, no, I'll do it. And he goes, okay, this is what you got to do. And he tells him how he's got to lay and everything to make this happen. So he's got his face. My septic tank is full to the top of poop. And it wasn't really poop, mostly water. But he's got his face right here, and he's looking at this pipe. Like I was waiting for his hat to fall into my septic tank. And then the old man says this real quietly. He goes, now when that breaks loose, you need to get out of the way, because all that stuff is coming into the tank. Whatever's in the line in the house. And, I'm like, that's some good advice right there. And so the kid's looking, and the kid puts the thing in there, and he's working it, and he gets it, and it goes. He pulls the thing out, and he is still there looking at the shit coming into the septic tank, and I can see stuff splashing up past his head. Just splashing up past his head. And I'm like, hey man, you need to get the fuck up. You don't need to be there breathing in all that house poop that is coming from that drain. You need to stand up. But it was just funny that, and that's when I asked him, I'm like, hey,
face shield,
no face shield, no goggles. And I'm like, hey,
last time you had a hemoglobin shot.
I'm like, Are you training? Is that what's going on here? And he goes, yeah, I'm apprenticing under him because I'm going to take over his job. And, the reality is...
sometimes you got to eat some shit.
Yeah, when he gets...
you got to do the shit you don't want to do.
He gets older, he's going to be making some money because you can't... our house was unusable for the most part because the septic tank was clogged.
Yeah, you'll pay
and I would pay any amount of money, and I gave them extra money when they left because I'm like, that's a job I actually tried to figure out what the fuck was wrong with it, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. But that's a job that you can't pay people enough to handle for you when they're gonna jump inside your septic tank and start fucking around. The guy I had before was even crustier. This dude was crusty. He had a pair of overalls on that he had to have worn he just took them off, put them on the floor, and went in the house and did what he did, and then the next morning he put these things on. And it had a bubble, a crust bubble inside the septic tank.
Like a wax shell.
Yeah, like this thing at the bottom of the... And he's like... He's looking at it, and Gina's there, and he's like, well, there's your problem right there. He flips his shovel over, so it's the handle. He takes his shovel, and he pokes it into it. It pops. Poop flies up in the air. He doesn't even shake. He's not even startled by the poop flying. He takes the shovel back, puts it spade down on the ground, and he's like, puts his arm on it, he's like, yeah, I'll clean this whole thing out, it'll be good to go, be running perfect. That we just need to get rid of that bubble.
Shit touching skin.
I'm like, I go, oh my God. It's a different brand of person that has decided in his life that poop is not that big of a deal. I know poop is really not that big of a deal, but man, especially other people's poop and whatever else is in that septic tank, crazy. Anyways, there's my journeyman story. Go be a septic tank operator if you live in a place where they still use septic tanks.
Sometimes you got to do the shit you don't want to do to get to do the shit you want to do.
Yeah, you get them big dollars. Electricians and all that,
You'll
man.
be the man with 2 kids fucking getting poop all over them. You guys were oh, there we did that one. Still loving the podcast. Thank you both for taking your time to do them. With that said, my question is a classic for you and Skully. Ginger or Marianne, and why?
Ginger, because she's a redhead.
I already asked. I said which one's sluttier?
Ginger is the one that's sluttier, too.
And he said Ginger, outwardly anyways.
Yeah, Ginger outwardly anyways. Can you just imagine that? You imagine that show, how long that show was on, and how it really would have been. Because there was 3 guys and only 2 girls.
Yeah, but most of those dudes were fucking little bitches.
Yeah, but, well, Gilligan. But the skipper was probably in the Navy. The skipper probably had some chops. And then you got there was 4 dudes. I forgot about the Howells. But the Howells were married. And they were old, so you wouldn't probably fuck around with them too much. It would have been a pretty Lord of the Flies situation. I think that if that was a real show, the Howells would have been killed because they were totally useless, and Gilligan would have been killed because he would have been in competition with the one of the girls.
Gilligan, that's kind of like their Tyler.
Definitely, Gilligan is. Yeah, definitely is. Tyler's a modern day Gilligan. I love it.
Skully says things so abstractly, real even Morpheus from The Matrix says, no fucking way. Creedmoor sends a link to something, I don't know what that is.
What was the link to?
I don't know.
Nothing.
Love the all-seeing cockeye shirt, Skully. And we find ourselves at the end of this podcast.
That was too quick. That was only 20 minutes, I bet.
What time did we come in here?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
It's 12:50.
So there you go. End of 44. We'll be having another one here in 5 or 6 hours, I guess.
We're going to take group nap time.
We're going to John has initiated a nap time policy where everybody brings towels in. We turn the lights out for 10 minutes. And then the first 3 minutes is just nothing but people giggling. And Amanda going, shh, shh. And then everybody's still giggling.
You know what it'd be out there if we had nap time. They'd all be, you'd hear just farts. And then there'd be giggles.
That's what it would be.
And if they had towels, they'd have their towels over their head sniffing their farts. Some of them.
What it would be. Yeah.
Fart sniffers.
We'll see you in a couple hours.